My lords, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to Transport Fever 2. In this episode we're gonna do a bit more passenger line shenanigans, I believe. Obviously we've just completed the Calgary metro system, which links the 4 districts of Calgary into the centre, and that will act as a sort of shuttle stroke dart stroke commuter inner city train system. And on top of that, what I'd like to do now is start heading out to some of the other outlying towns in and around Calgary, such as Priddis, Black Diamond, Airdrie, Irricana and so forth, and we'll make a small scale sort of regional rail system for those small towns to get them into Calgary. Now this episode might be a bit shorter in length than usual, simply because, as I said recently, I am currently working 12-hour night shifts this week, so finding the time and the energy, let's be honest, to record an episode has been a bit of a struggle, but I've got a bit of free time now, so I thought I would get something out there for you guys and hopefully get this uploaded ASAP. So, we've started in Calgary, just on this little hill here overlooking Calgary and southwest Calgary, and I think we will start heading out towards Priddis, Bragg Creek and Black Diamond from southwest Calgary. Now, we do have 2 tracks at this platform here. Obviously one of them is being used by the Calgary Dart, the second one will be used for the regional rail system, and obviously the first town that we're going to be aiming to hit will be Priddis, which is just over the way there, and it should be relatively straightforward for us to make our way there. So to begin with then, let's put down a small train station for Priddis. We'll make it a 2-track station, and we'll keep it around about 120 metres. I think is going to be more than enough for this. It doesn't have to be anything too extravagant, let's be honest. And I think the best place to put the station itself is going to be on this little hill here. That way we can link it into the road network quite easily, plus it keeps it away from the residential area of Priddis, which is obviously located further to the south, and then we can also quite easily head over towards Bragg Creek and then out towards Black Diamond and Longview as well. So before we actually connect it up, let's get the tracks in place as well then. As we can see, we're immediately heading downhill here, just because of the nature of the terrain in this area. It isn't the most even terrain, and we do have this rather large hill or gradient to deal with just here to get onto this little plateau before we head around into Calgary there. So let's see how we can negotiate this, because I think if we go straight down, yes indeed, it will just generate a bridge. And I'd like to avoid that if possible, so I think I might put a little curve in it just like so, and then curve it back again, and we could stretch it out to keep a decent speed. Around about 50 miles an hour is going to be good enough for a little regional train system. And then from here on out, it should be a relatively straightforward task to connect it into southwest Calgary, which we can just see there over this small hill. So what we'll do now at this point is start working from the opposite direction. Now we've got a rough idea as to where we're headed. And just like before, primarily this will be single tracked. However, we may put 1 or 2 passing loops in if we do want to run multiple trains. Yeah, keeping it single tracked would retain that small regional railway sort of vibe that we're hoping to achieve here. Now unfortunately, as we can see at this point, we are quite a ways off the elevation required, and we're not going to be able to snap into that rail line that we have waiting from this point, because the slope is going to be too excessive. So I think what we might need to do here is just delete this little bit of track and take it back just a fraction, like so. And what we may have to do then is actually have some sort of tunnel perhaps underneath. No, we can do it. Obviously it is going to be a very steep incline for the trains to have to contend with, but given the nature of the terrain, for the time being we're just going to have to live with that. We might be able to improve it later on, but just in order to get something set up, I think that's going to work fine just for the time being. Okay, so now that it's got a good connection, we shall put in a road connection as well. That obviously activates the train line. And then we can get some bus services for Priddis that include the train station along their routes. And that's obviously going to get the passengers into the station for us. And I think what we'll do, I think that's probably the best option to connect in. Like so. And we can just delete this little... Oh no, we will delete this building here, unfortunately. Okay, so we'll leave that little road in there. I was going to delete it, but it would require moving this industry here, which I'd rather avoid if we can. It's senseless to delete it just for the sake of it. And then from here, we could just... In fact, we could just connect in like that. Why not? That will work. It'll work quite well, hopefully. So that's the first stop added onto the regional rail network, and as I said, that should serve us reasonably well just for a small, simple regional train system. And then what we want to do next is obviously run the tracks out from the other end of the station with a view to heading towards Black Diamond as well as Bragg Creek. So we'll do that now, and we'll let them join together just after this bridge here. And then obviously one branch of this line is going to go straight into Bragg Creek. And likely we'll have the station on this little area here. It looks the best sort of terrain for it. And the other branch is going to obviously then head out towards Black Diamond. And I think we'll focus on Black Diamond for now, because then we can head to Longview as well. And here we're looking at much better, much easier terrain to work with in terms of putting a station down. And I think we can just have a single track station here. We've got an ideal location for it just there. We've got a logical and natural connection point onto the roads. And again, it just keeps it away from some of the residential areas of Black Diamond, which as I'm sure we are all aware of. Keeping your trains away from the residents is always a good thing because it reduces the noise pollution, which obviously has a big impact on your city population and city growth, and it could even make your cities start to dwindle if you have too much noise pollution. Now, connecting into the line here should be relatively straightforward, I think, and I think if we just go to there for now, open the contour map, we can see we're at 198 meters, and our awaiting track is at 207 meters. So we have to rise by about 10 meters, but given the distance we've got between the two tracks, that shouldn't be too much of an issue. And in fact, we could do a direct switch in like that. That is going to generate a few viaducts, including this rather large one here. However, that is, looking at the terrain here, having anything other than a viaduct would not work at all. So we'll have to just live with the viaduct, which is absolutely fine. Everything else looks okay though. And in fact, what we could do if we wanted to is, once we've confirmed this track, we could go straight in and just delete these bridges here. And then if we use a bit of terrain modification just where we've removed the bridges, then we can have a track that doesn't need a bridge. Like so. That just cuts down on the amount of bridges on this line that we have. And that looks okay, it looks reasonable, and it looks like it probably would do in reality as well. This bridge will probably keep it in. That doesn't look too bad. It was just having that little run of 2 or 3 short bridges, which was... I wasn't quite happy with it, so I wanted to get rid of those. But regardless, we have now connected into Black Diamond. Obviously, we don't have any road connection yet, so we'll do that now. And then obviously in both Black Diamond and Priddis, we do need to sort out a bus system or tram system to get the passengers into the stations that we've just constructed. Otherwise, they're not going to do much good for us. But that won't take too long. The primary focus, of course, is getting the rail lines set up. Now, what we are going to need to have are some signals here. In fact, will we need to... I'll leave it without signals, I think, because I don't want to risk any train collisions or trains facing off against one another with nowhere to go. So we'll keep it without signals for now, And if it looks like we're going to need signals to keep our trains spaced out a little better, then we'll use signals, but we'll use them on passing loops instead. But for now, that should work okay for us. Right then, so I think what we'll turn our attention to is 2 quick bus systems, one for Priddis and one for Black Diamond. And that won't take too long. They are relatively small towns, so the bus systems do not have to be anything too extravagant or too complicated and convoluted. They can just be a simple loop system. And I don't even think there's the need to have the counterclockwise and clockwise options. Instead, we'll just have the single bus line that runs through the entirety of the town, kind of like so. Obviously in Priddis we want to make sure we incorporate this interchange as well. We have it there, so we may as well make use of it. And what we'll do now is we'll quickly set up this bus line and get it named up, and then we'll head over to Black Diamond and we'll do the same sort of thing over there as well. Okay, so we have bus service 01 now set up for Priddis. So that's, although I think I've named that incorrectly, I think it should just be bus service Priddis 01. I think I got it backwards there. Let me just change that around very quickly. There we go. And now we'll do the same over in Black Diamond, as I said. And we'll pick it back up once this is all connected up and ready to go. And then we're going to look at obviously getting a train to run this system for us. Okay, so as we can see, we have the bus stop and the bus line all set up in Black Diamond as well. I've gone ahead and purchased some Macs to run both the lines, the one in Black Diamond as well as the one over in Priddis, and we can see them making their way out now. So I think the next thing to do before we progress any further is to actually set up the regional rail line as well, and obviously the starting station is going to be Southwest Calgary, then on to Priddis, then into Black Diamond, and from there we'll go to Longview. And I think the best thing I'll probably end up doing is adding an intermediary station between Priddis and Black Diamond, and that's going to hit Bragg Creek. So the line will go up to Bragg Creek, and then from Bragg Creek we'll head back down into Black Diamond. Then obviously on the way back it'll come Black Diamond into Bragg Creek and then sweep down into Priddis. But we can deal with that a little bit later on. For now we'll just use the system that we have set up. So Southwest Calgary to Priddis, to Black Diamond to Priddis, and then obviously back to Southwest Calgary. I accidentally added it on twice superfluously, which obviously caused that error. So let's call this the Calgary Regional, no, Alberta Regional Rail Line. I believe I'm going to know. Railway. I've changed my mind. Alberta Regional Railway. I should be able to remember what it's doing in a few years' time when I click back and wonder what the hell, what's that line? Should be easy enough to remember. And we'll have it this dark sort of maroony brown sort of colour. That'll look quite nice, and it keeps it quite distinct and it stands out against all the others in the area as well. Right, so now that that's in place, the next thing we want to do is obviously purchase a train to run on that line. And we can, or we should, be able to use this depot here, and that should be able to connect in quite easily. So in terms of locomotive, once again, doesn't need to, although we do have quite a few hills and climbs over there, so perhaps we do want something with a bit more power than the Mogul. And I think we'll go for the Rogers 10-wheeler. In terms of passenger wagons, I think just 2 6-axle passenger cars, giving us a capacity of 40 passengers, is going to be enough for the time being. We'll give it the correct colour scheme as per the line, and then if we go to connect it or assign it to the line, yes indeed it can reach there without any issues. So that is all set up and ready to go. As we can see in Priddis and both Black Diamond, we do have passenger pickup already on our bus network, although I highly doubt they're heading to the station at this point because it's still new and the route pathing algorithm will not be taking it into account at this point. So that's 2 more small towns added onto the network. We may as well just finish it off heading this way and heading to Longview now. And I think for Longview, we'll have the station out here, aiming that sort of direction. And then we have the road connection branching off from this little road here up to the station like so. I think that will work quite well. It's also working in a nice flat area. Obviously, if we look over this side of Longview, the terrain is an absolute nightmare. So it would just be too complicated and convoluted to get both the train station and the tracks laid in there. So putting it over here just removes that headache. And instead we can just do a nice simple connection over into Black Diamond like that. And then we'll get the bus network set up. Again, something just small, quick and easy. It doesn't have to be too complicated. Out here it's only a small town. And I think something just like that is going to be more than adequate. So now we can set up this new bus line. We'll colour it yellow. And we'll just get all the stops assigned on. And as you can see there, nothing too complicated at all. So let's get it named up. There we go, bus service Longview 01. Naturally, we're going to want a road depot, which we'll keep out of town. And we'll put it just there. We might have to move it back from the road later on if the traffic lights cause an issue. But it's that far enough out of town, it should be okay. We'll go for 5 of the max on this line. And there we go. What we can do now then is take the Alberta Regional Railway, manage the line, and then after Black Diamond, instruct it to head to Longview, like so, and then back to Black Diamond, back to Priddis, and obviously back into southwest Calgary where they will change, and they can then board the DART system, and if they then want to, they can change again, get on the Calgary main line, and head to where they need to go. Okay, excellent. We have our first passengers over here in Black Diamond. We have 2 of them heading to Longview. I believe they were going to be heading to Priddis originally, but the line was added in after they arrived, so now they've got to go out to Longview to come back again. But it's good to see we have passengers ready to use the line already. Let's go ahead and see if we can locate our new train. We'll just follow the tracks along, heading towards the depot where we purchased the train from. Have I missed it? I must have done. Is that? No, that's not it. That's the DART system, as is that one. I have no idea where this train is. It can't have got out here already. Surely not. Unless he is taking a very convoluted route to get out here, but I don't see why it would. Ah, okay, that's where it is. It hadn't left the depot yet, but as we can see, making its way out of the depot now, heading onto the rail line and our network. Obviously heading out towards southwest Calgary to start his lifetime of running our regional passenger line. Okay, so before we end the episode, I'll very quickly try and get us connected into Bragg Creek as well, as discussed. And we'll put our station out here. Somewhere like that. It is obviously at a much lower elevation than the town. But I think it's in terms, although we could put it, yes, we'll change that. Rather than having it on the riverside of Bragg Creek, we'll put it up here in the forest. The terrain is relatively flat and should be relatively easy to work with. So we'll just rotate it 180 degrees so the building is facing towards the town. Put it around about there, should be more than okay. And then as I said, what we're going to do, just have it straight for now. Oh no, okay, just like that. One line is going to head this way and connecting down here. One is going to head this way and connecting to Priddis. There's no need to be curving that way because this is the one that's heading this way towards the town of Priddis. Also, we don't need to be rising up that much. But at the same time, we don't want a tunnel. So we'll go for the huge excavation. And then we'll have it connecting like so. Has that given a nice junction? Yes, it has. So there we go. So the train will come this way into Bragg Creek. And then once it leaves Bragg Creek, heading out towards Black Diamond, it will take this line here. Yes, again, just checking the state of the junction there, because we don't want that horrendous overlap issue that sometimes occurs. And I think we will allow it to follow the terrain here. We do have a large viaduct, but again, because of this shallow depression that we have here, that's something we can't avoid, unfortunately, so we'll just go with it and roll with it. And then we'll have the line connecting like so. There is that strange overlap, so what we'll do is just bow the line a little bit using Z and X, or Z and X if you will, and that just takes that edge off a little bit like so. Okay, so I do now believe that we should be able to amend this to include Bragg Creek both in and out. However, before we do that, I obviously want to get the station activated by having a road connection that's linked into the town itself. There we go. And again, we're going to want a quick and easy bus system out here just to get the passengers in and out of the station. There we go. So I'll just get the line, get it coloured in, get it named up, and get some vehicles assigned, and then we shall pick it back up in a moment. Okay, so I've got the line all set up now. Bus service Bragg Creek 01. Purchase some buses to run the line. So all that we need to do now is amend the Alberta main line, the Alberta Railway, to include the station that we've just constructed at Bragg Creek. So what we'll do, Alberta Regional Railway, manage the line. So what we're going to do now, after Priddis, we're going to come in to Bragg Creek. After Bragg Creek, we are heading to Black Diamond. Black Diamond to Longview. Longview back to Black Diamond. Black Diamond into Bragg Creek. And then Bragg Creek into Priddis. And then obviously in and out of southwest Calgary as well. As we can see, that's not caused any issues. This stretch of track here is redundant and not being used at the moment. That might change. We could have some little direct services set up a little bit later on if we wanted to make use of it. But I think having it empty for now isn't going to be too much of an issue, let's be honest. Just now going to take the edge off some of the terrain that's being generated by our rail lines and our cuttings, just like that. Just to smooth it all out and make it look a little bit neater and tidier. There we go. So yes, we're getting a lot of passenger generation already, which is fantastic to see. As we can see, have a wide variety of destinations here out at Longview, which is obviously one of the termination stops. We have 8 heading to southwest Calgary, 11 just taking the short jaunt into Black Diamond, and 2 heading out to Priddis. We even have passengers on our bus system in Bragg Creek already. Hopefully some of them will be heading to Bragg Creek station to start making use of our Alberta Regional Railway. Here comes our train now, just about to cross this viaduct that we had set up, and I think the train there, silhouetted against the skyline, looks absolutely fantastic. So if we just wait here, we'll watch the train pass on the viaduct for a bit of eye candy while we close this episode out. As I said back at the start of the episode, this may have been a bit shorter than usual. Obviously I do apologise for that, but given the current work situation at the moment, it's the best I can do, I'm afraid. Normal service will be resumed next week. Just to give you an insight into my shift pattern, I do work a 4-shift rotating pattern, and the pattern is I'll do 1 week of early shift, 1 week of late shifts, 1 week of night shifts, which is obviously where we are at the moment, and then my 4th week is actually a week off, where I have to go in for a few hours on Monday. After that, I'm off for the rest of the week, which provides me a lot of time, as you can imagine, to get some, hopefully, in your opinion, some high quality content produced for you guys. So, I think we'll end it here. As I said, got a fair bit done. Well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 towns connected into a little regional rail system, so made a decent start there. Obviously there's still a few towns to go. Vulcan needs looking at, that's sat out here all by herself. Likewise, Chestermere has not had any attention or love at this point. And we also want to consider heading out to Airdrie and Irricana River passenger rail network, as well as Bottrell. Obviously these are being serviced by freight trains, but we'd like to get some passengers out here as well. In terms of Calgary itself, if we just zoom out, in fact, if we just take away some of the UI elements, like so, just leaving us with the bare bones, it does look like the suburbs are starting to expand somewhat. So what we need to start doing in the near future is focusing on getting more of the goods that they require delivered into the towns. That's obviously going to generate further growth and faster growth and expansion. But I do think we've had some definite expansion so far, and hopefully we won't be too far away from seeing these 4 or 5 districts start to amalgamate into one large city. Let's just bring all the UI information back up once again. And I think we shall now say our goodbyes. So, as always, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this episode, even if it was a little different than usual for one reason or another. If you did, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, again, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to show your support and to help the channel to grow. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, as always, you take the very best care of yourselves. Ta-ta for now.